Leicestershire, an ancient land located in central England, steeped in history, superstition and legend. Our story takes place in the far northwestern reaches of Leicestershire in England. It begins in Bredon on the Hill and includes the surrounding small settlements, approximately in the year 1000. So light a candle, dim the lights, let's open the case. In the year 710, a monastery was built at Bredon on the Hill in Leicestershire. It was built atop the hill and had great views over the nearby towns due to its height. The land surrounding the monastery looked very different to how it is today. Thick, ancient forests had once covered the land for as far as the eye could see, although small clearings were reserved for villages and farms. Most of the inhabitants of the nearby settlements made the journey up the hill and into the priory every Saturday and Sunday to pray. One morning, around the year 1000, the abbot was standing outside of the monastery, looking out over the vast forest in front of him. He watched as clouds swirled in the distance and smoke rose from the various settlements nearby. The abbot did this every morning. He would come outside and gaze upon the beautiful landscape, wondering what each new day would bring. The abbot's daily routine was one day interrupted by a small boy. The abbot watched him climb the steepest part of the hill and run through the tall grass towards him. The boy, out of breath, fell to his knees. He looked both terrified and panicked. The abbot helped him to his feet and asked, "What is it that troubles you, boy?" The boy stated that a huge, winged monster had entered the local town's natural spring, and nobody could obtain any fresh water because the beast was fiercely protective of the spring. He asked the abbot to come and help expel the creature from the water, as the townspeople were running out. The abbot reassured the boy and hastily went into the priory and gathered a small bottle of holy water, then set off on a 2-mile journey down the hill towards the village with the boy at his side. As they walked down the muddy path through the forest, surrounded by thick, twisted trees, the abbot asked the boy for further details. He wanted to be ready for the creature which awaited him. The boy looked up at the abbot and stated that most of the town people believed the beast was a demon. The abbot knew he would need his faith if this was true. Doubts began creeping into the abbot's mind. Perhaps he should have brought another person from the monastery to help him tackle the creature. He gripped his bottle of holy water tighter. The boy then told the abbot that other villagers believed the creature to be a dragon, as it has wings, a huge head, and a mouth filled with teeth. The abbot decided to reassure the boy that he would do his best to move the beast along. They approached the eerily quiet village. Not even the bark of a dog could be heard. No bird singing, just silence. The boy indicated the location of the spring. Some of the villagers had now come out of their homes and were watching on. The abbot approached the spring, quietly reciting prayers, and peeked nervously around the vegetation. He noted that the creature had an eagle's head and huge wings, but had the body of a lion. He turned to the villagers and proclaimed that the creature was in fact a griffin. Seeing the size of the beast, he knew that his small bottle of holy water would be useless against it. After some thought, he decided that it would be best to not provoke the creature and let it leave of its own accord. This was not the answer the villagers wanted to hear. They felt they must do anything to either kill the griffin or move the creature along. A few of the men devised a plan. One was a butcher. He took his huge meat cleaver knife and hurled it at the griffin. The griffin emerged with the cleaver in its mouth. The force of its beak snapped the knife and the wooden handle. The cleaver fell to the floor with a thud. The griffin snarled as it paced around, spreading its wings in a display of dominance. Another man let his hunting dog free, and it ran straight for the griffin, barking and growling. In one swift motion, the dog was picked up immediately in the griffin's beak and crushed. All of the villagers recoiled in fear. The griffin dropped the body of the dog and retreated back into the water. The beast was incredibly agitated. The villagers turned to the abbot and asked what he was going to do. Surely he had a solution to the problem. Sadly, the abbot stated that nothing could be done. The creature was too fearsome and protective of the water, and they had no means of taking it down. Again, he told the villagers that they will just have to wait until the griffin leaves. The villagers this time, after seeing what had happened, began to agree. The abbot had a plan. The people couldn't be left without water, so he organised a horse and cart to deliver water from the monastery's well to the village on a daily basis. It wasn't ideal, but it would have to do for the time being. This worked for a while, however the water did not last forever. Due to the demand, some of the townsfolk would walk for miles just to collect water. A few weeks later, a passing knight stopped in the village and asked for some water for himself and his horse. But he was brought an incredibly small jug, filled with hardly any water. As the knight looked around, he could feel that something was wrong. There was an eerie sense of evil, an atmosphere of anxiety. The knight climbed down from his horse and began to speak to the few villagers who had greeted him. They apologized for the lack of supplies and explained that they had hardly any water for themselves, let alone a travelling knight. The villagers told the knight about the griffin in the spring water and the fear that it had spread. Intrigued, he went to the spring and, just like the abbot, watched the vegetation at the borders of the water. He saw it watching him fiercely, like a dragon protecting its gold. He decided that he would try to slay the beast and help the villagers, as things were getting desperate now. The water deliveries were getting smaller by the day as the monastery's well had begun to dry up. The knight demanded that the most able men were to go with him. He also required the blacksmith to construct one longbow and several long arrows, which would be capable of piercing the thick skin of the griffin. Delighted that somebody had decided to help them, the villagers gave the knight and the brave men everything they would need to take on the griffin. The knight approached the griffin whilst the other men crashed metallic objects together to enrage the beast and lure it towards them. Soon after, the griffin emerged, opening its full wingspan and rearing up to intimidate the men. The knight began to move to a better position to loose his bow. With steely eyes fixed on the knight, the griffin watched on motionless. Carefully, the knight began to take a few steps back. His bowstring was still tight, and the huge arrow rested upon his gloved hand. The griffin opened its beak and let out an enormous roar. The knight saw his chance and let the arrow fly. The piercing arrow soared directly into the griffin's mouth and into its skull, killing it instantly. With great haste, the villagers removed the body of the griffin from the area and celebrated. No one noticed the knight leave. No one knew his name or where he had come from. The villagers took the griffin and hung its skin over the door of the church. It is said that many of the villagers' descendants walked beneath the skin of the griffin on their wedding day, and it became quite the tradition over the next few centuries. Sadly, there are no remnants of the griffin's skin left. Life returned to normal for the villagers, and the village became known as Griffydam. Some believe that the village was named this due to the events of this story. However, the name is also said to derive from Griffith's Dam. A man-made pond and remnants of the bank built for this dam can still be seen by one of the lanes in the village. Interestingly, there is an ancient stone in the church which stands where the monastery once stood, carved in the shape of a griffin. The stone is incredibly old, which raises the intriguing question: was the tale of the griffin only a tale, or did it bear at least an element of truth? We hope you have enjoyed this story. If so, please like and subscribe, as you won't want to miss our next case.